This video will give you an introduction to plotting implicit functions in Maple. To graph implicit functions in Maple, you must first load the plots package. You can do this by typing the command with parentheses, plots, close parentheses, colon, and enter. Make sure you do not put any spaces into your line or this package will not load correctly and you will not be able to plot implicit functions. Suppose you want to graph the circle x squared plus y squared equals 4. This is an implicit equation where neither the x or y variable is explicitly solved for. To graph this, we use the command implicit plot, open a set of parentheses, type in the function x squared plus y squared equals 4. Now, in the implicit plot command, we are required to set the x and y axis. To do this, put a comma after your function. Set the x-axis by typing x equals, and then specify the range you want your x-axis to have with the high and low end values separated by 2 periods. For example, we could take the x-axis here to go from -3 to +3. And likewise, add a comma after the x values and do the same thing for y. We likewise here will set the y-axis to go from -3 to +3. This circle looks pretty good, but occasionally when graphing an implicit function, the result may come out looking kind of jagged or wiggly. This is because Maple generates the graph by plotting and connecting a certain number of points. Let's look at an example. Suppose I do implicit plot of the function e to the y. I use the e expression under the expression tabs to generate my e. Please do not use the e on the keyboard as Maple does not recognize the e on the keyboard as the exponential function. Equals x times y plus sine of x. And on this, I'm going to let my x-axis go from -10 to +10, and my y-axis go from -10 to +10. If I run this command immediately, the graph does not look very smooth. But I can make the graph look more smooth by having Maple plot additional points. To do that, go to the end of your command line, add a comma, and type in the additional option num points, numpoints, equals, and then put in a large number. For example, here I will put 10,000 and hit enter. Notice that graphing the additional points smoothed out the curve quite a bit, and now we can see a much more smooth representation of this function. We can also plot 3-dimensional implicit functions using the command implicit plot 3D. Suppose, for example, I want to graph the 3-dimensional function x squared plus y squared plus z squared equals 8. In a 3-dimensional implicit plot, I need to set the x, y, and z axes. Here I will set the x-axis to go from -3 to +3, the y-axis to go from -3 to +3, and the z-axis to go from -3 to +3. And I get a graph of my 3-dimensional curve. You can also do the num points feature to smooth out a 3D implicit graph. For example, I can come to the end of my line here and type a comma, num points, and set a large number. Say here I select 1,000,000 points. This has now changed the representation of my picture. I hope that this video has been helpful in getting you started with graphing implicit functions in Maple.